Hello, family and friends. Welcome to my greenhouse. This greenhouse is 20 feet by 20 feet, and it is actually 12 feet tall. And this is where I grow most of my cucumbers, tomatoes, basil, and peppers. The first row is the pepper plants. The next two rows, because there's actually two deep, are more pepper plants, and each of these rows have 33 pots in them. There's less in the front because I needed to put in bigger pots because they're right up against the south side and they heat up really quite a bit. So even though there's actually a gap, which I needed to do, otherwise these pots just overheat, between there's a little retaining wall and then this and then the pots. This mulch helps keep the pots from getting too hot, but I needed larger size pots because they needed more water, otherwise they dry out. It gets really, really hot in the front of the greenhouse. And underneath these are where the peppers were. So I'm going to actually be removing the soil from all of the pots that I had last year because I do not want to have, you can see the tip of a basil plant here too. And these are actually filled up to about here. I find that way I can, when I water them just to the top of them. And that way I don't waste water. The water doesn't get on here. I hardly find any weeds. There are some weeds around the outside and in the front here and along the back. And I'll be taking out these weeds today again. But for the most part, once the heat of summer hits, I have almost absolutely no weeds. I might be able to count the amount of weeds I pull about count of less than 5. It's wonderful. I hate weeding during the summer. All I want to do is water and harvest because that's all the time I have for. So that means that I have 66 pepper plants in this row, and there's a couple more pots that I removed because I decided to try overwintering some of the peppers last year, and those will be added back into here. There's 4 pots missing, and then these will be all the front row is basil. And sometimes if I want to start a particular herb that I want to move out into the garden, but I want to get it big first, I'll put it in one of the front rows. And then basil again, and then the back rows. So this are going to be tomatoes, and if I have some extra, I'll put them in this row too, but then I usually put in some cucumbers in the back here. And that's about it. I'm just going to I've already taken out these ones and emptied them into these garbage cans, and then I break them up, put them into the soil in there. I'm going to add some organic fertilizer to the soil, and these are going to be my transplant plugs. I'm going to put the larger plugs are for bigger plants like zucchini, so winter squash, summer squash. And I get them from this soil because I don't want to actually reuse the soil from last year. This is manure, and I will top it off with some nice compost. But for the most part, actually not the most part, I do not fertilize my greenhouse during the whole entire summer. The reason is they are pre-fertilized. That manure will break down over the summer, and those, believe me, you can actually see the roots from last year. When I pull these pots out, they're actually attached to the ground. And as you can see, you don't see any manure in here. It all breaks down. I put the top of it with some nice potting soil because I don't want any splash up of the manure. So put the manure in the bottom, and then you put a nice layer of compost on top. The roots don't get burned, and when they need to, they start working their way down, and by the end of summer, you've got some potting soil for the next year. And then I just break them up. If there's any largish pieces that will cause problems with potting, they just go in here. The rest goes in there. And then I add in the organic fertilizer to kind of give it a boost until I can get them out into the garden, because once they're out into the garden, they'll use the nutrients that are in the garden soil. But I just need to get them established and big enough that I can see them, so when I'm weeding, I don't accidentally destroy my plants as I try to get rid of the weeds. Okay, that's about it. And as you can see, the chickens are out and about doing their things. And yes, my chickens are rain-worthy chickens. They do not mind the fact that there is rain going on outside. They are still going about their business. Unless it's like an absolute downpour. But I've actually seen them just not even run for cover. They just kind of stand there for a little bit while the downpour goes by and then go about their business again. And these are the starts of my plants. So I'll break them out of here, put them into the pots, because some of my seeds are from older stock, and if I put them all in here and half of them don't even germinate, then I just wasted a whole bunch of time putting all of that together, and I don't have the time to waste. Either they grow or they don't. Though I am not going to pot them up for the onions. And I had bought 3 types of organic potting soil this year. I wanted to test and see which one my plants like best. But that will be in a different video.